Now to a story that is both emotional and inspiring. He says he was saved by the Bible. A World War II veteran who's sharing his story of survival 74 years after a deadly attack in the Pacific.
I was honored to sit down with a sailor at his Clay County home in Moose Haven as he shared with tears in his eyes his gripping experience aboard a sinking ship.
This hat was a hat I got after the ship was sunk.
The hat bearing the name of USS Princeton, one of Donald Scheer's most precious possessions.
It's got 9 stars, which is 9 battles. My ship was... I was also 108 men to my ship that one day.
That day, October 24th, 1944, a day Scheer will never forget. 108 men lost on the ship he was on in the Pacific. USS Princeton went down in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. The Princeton was bombed by the Japanese, tearing the deck apart and prompting more explosions below deck.
So the captain said, abandon ship, twice. I said, man, phew. I'll never see home again.
But he did it, jumped into the water and started swimming. And even though he didn't think he'd make it, he prayed.
And I still had this in my pocket.
Amazingly, a sign of his faith survived with him.
This is it right here.
It was his brand new Bible. He'd had it just one day when he was forced to jump into the ocean in fear for his life, a true test of faith.
And it was in my pocket right up here. It was wet, I was wet.
After about 2 hours treading water, he was plucked out and placed on the deck of another ship, USS Birmingham. Another sailor looked at him and noticed his Bible soaking wet.
He said, you know that's the greatest book there is? I said, I know that.
Next thing he knew, Scheer said he found himself below deck and surrounded by 9 fellow sailors.
And I said, man, I'm not the only man that believes in God.
They were reading the Bible?
No, they're praying.
They were all praying.
Praying, go out around here.
The Bible alone that he has is a miracle, in my opinion.
Violet is a friend of Scheer's and understands the power of his faith.
What compels you then to help us tell his story?
Well, he told me the story, and I was like, Don, that's part of history.
She wanted to get a shadow box so Scheer could safely keep his treasured Bible and his hat, and she said he wanted an article to go along with it, too, one that could be read to the American Legion.
He wrote down his story, and I typed it up for him, and he said, do you care if I send this to Channel 4? And I was like, no, not at all. When he was telling it, we both sat there and cried through the whole story. I was like, again, I'm a big softy anyway, but I was like, that needs to be told. There's so much that we don't know about what they went through, what they survived, what their life was like.
Those friendly, helpful hands were pulled back, beaten and bloody.
Scheer let me read a letter from his ship to the Birmingham after its crew risked everything to save him and his fellow shipmates.
It was very painful knowing that in trying to save us, you suffered far greater losses than we. No thanks could be great enough to erase the loss, and those that were lost will never hear our thanks, USS Princeton and crew, as one.
Mm-hmm. Wow. They need to know that we love them and we appreciate them.
And listen to them.
Yes, yes. And learn from them, too, because, I mean, really, our country wouldn't be what it is today without their knowledge and wisdom.
Truly. One of the most remarkable things, about sitting down with Mr. Scheer and getting to hear him tell his story is that he is living history. He's a treasure, and just like Violet said, we need to embrace these remaining members of the greatest generation and listen to them, hear those stories. What I would give to hear my dad's stories.
I was thinking the same thing. Your dad, a member of the greatest generation. Yeah. My dad skippered a minesweeper at the age of 32 off the Normandy coast, and how grateful we would be to hear their stories. But what an inspirational man, and thank goodness he's still with us, and thank goodness you got to tell his story.
I was what a gift, what a gift. Thank you, Donald. Thank you,
Violet,
for embracing it and sharing it and giving it to us.
Wow. Stay with us, please.